I'm not going so far as to say that England gave birth to the French Revolution. However, I have to confess that we love monarchy, but especially when it's not at home.
Welcome back to Meghan and Harry Tales, hosted by Adrian, your home for truth, insight and a bit of sparkle from the other side of the palace gates. Today we're diving into an absolutely explosive moment that left jaws on the floor from London to Paris and beyond. French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte touched down in the UK for what was intended to be a stately, polished diplomatic event. But oh no, the moment he opened his mouth it all spiralled into a royal disaster. From awkward body language to public humiliation, and the ongoing misery radiating from Prince William and Princess Kate, this visit laid bare everything the firm wishes we didn't see. And while the House of Windsor scrambled to salvage some dignity, social media couldn't stop praising Meghan and Harry for their quiet grace, authenticity and, let's be honest, iconic style that continues to overshadow the stiff performances of the palace. Stick around, because we're unpacking every awkward glance, every forced smile, and the global shift in perception around the modern monarchy. Let's get into it. It was supposed to be a historic 3-day state visit, a show of unity between the UK and France, a diplomatic dance, a glittering parade of military honours, banquets and political speeches. But just hours into the visit, President Macron delivered a line so savage, so cutting, it became the moment the internet would not stop replaying. We love monarchy, but especially when it is not at home. Emmanuel Macron, ouch. Imagine being in the presence of the king of the country you're visiting, inside a space built to honour royalty, and you say that. The audience bursting with laughter, the British monarch left blinking, red-eyed and silent. It was a moment soaked in irony, wrapped in historic bitterness and served with a French accent. Macron wasn't just making a joke, he was holding up a mirror to Britain's uncomfortable relationship with its monarchy in 2025, and honestly that mirror revealed a crumbling facade. We've all seen the footage by now. Macron striding ahead during the ceremonial inspection of the guards, King Charles struggling to keep up, no eye contact, no shared words, just distance. And in diplomacy, optics matter. When Macron ignored Charles and instead chatted up the guards, it felt symbolic. A younger, energetic leader, literally walking ahead of a frail, quiet monarch with a visibly bloodshot eye. If this were fiction, we'd call it satire. But this isn't fiction. This was broadcast to millions. And here's the real kicker. King Charles didn't even seem surprised. He walked slowly behind, silent and stoic. But the British press, they didn't miss it. And they knew what this looked like. A king outpaced, a monarchy out of touch. Some media outlets tried to spin it. Macron breaks royal protocol, they cried. But most people watching didn't care about protocol. They cared about dignity, and it wasn't there. Let's talk about William and Kate. From the moment they appeared in front of the cameras, something was off. Prince William's face, stone cold, miserable, tense, and while some might blame the pressure of public duty, we've seen William smile. We've seen him laugh. Just not around her. The grip he had on Kate's hand was shocking, tight, unnatural, so intense her fingers turned purple. Let's pause on that for a second. Her hand turned purple. This was supposed to be a display of unity. But what we saw instead was a clenched performance, a forced intimacy that felt like it was being broadcast for PR, not affection. Kate's face was telling too. She scanned the crowd, not for comfort but for cameras. Looking, posing, repositioning. She wasn't engaging with William, she was performing, and we all saw it. King Charles's red eye became a topic of conversation before the visit even began. The media tried to preemptively spin it. Don't be alarmed. But once the photos came out, it was all people could talk about. It wasn't just a cosmetic issue, it symbolized something deeper. Here was a monarch already seen as outdated, welcoming a younger, more dynamic leader, while visibly unwell and disengaged. He didn't speak much, he didn't shine. He was a backdrop to the Macron show, and the firm, always obsessed with image, just couldn't keep up. The rehearsed hand holding between William and Kate wasn't romantic, it was mechanical. You could almost hear the PR advisor in the background shouting, "Hold her hand! Look into her eyes! Smile, William!" But the smiles never came. Only silence, and subtle distress. Pretending to be happy when you're not is just a deeper form of sadness. Anonymous. And while the royal family struggled to maintain composure on the world stage, one couple's name kept trending: Meghan and Harry. Their absence only highlighted their influence. Social media was flooded with comparisons, photos of Meghan and Harry's genuine affection, their unforced laughter, their modern approach to diplomacy, charity and engagement. And let's not forget their fashion. Dior's subtle nod to Meghan in Brigitte Macron's gown didn't go unnoticed. Royal watchers noted the similarities between Brigitte's look and iconic outfits worn by Meghan: clean lines, minimalist chic, and effortless grace. Meanwhile, Kate's ensemble was criticised for feeling outdated, overdone, stiff. It was the perfect metaphor for the difference between the Sussexes and the rest of the firm. Authenticity versus performance. The internet responded swiftly. Clips of Macron's speech went viral, comments poured in. He said what we're all thinking. The monarchy is the joke now. Even the French president couldn't help but roast them. And across every platform, TikTok, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram. One narrative was clear. The monarchy is floundering, and everyone can see it. Even traditional monarchists were confused. Some defended the protocol. But most couldn't deny the discomfort radiating from every photo and video clip. The truth does not change according to our ability to stomach it. Flannery O'Connor. And yet, amidst all of this chaos, Meghan and Harry remained silent, dignified, unbothered, which only made the comparison sting more for the rest of the royals. Let's step back and reflect on a deeper message here, because beneath the headlines and awkward footage lies a more timeless lesson about leadership, humility and legacy. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Matthew 6:21. If the monarchy's treasure lies in appearances, rituals and outdated protocol, then that's where their heart is. But the world has changed. People want authenticity, they want vulnerability. They want leaders who reflect their values, not just tradition. Meghan and Harry understood this. That's why their Invictus Games continue to thrive. That's why their Archewell Foundation still touches lives. That's why when Meghan dances, smiles or shares a moment with her children, people believe it. Because it's real. The royal family's PR machine is collapsing under its own weight. The press briefings, the staged photos, the planted stories, it's all starting to feel very 1990s. Meanwhile, Meghan and Harry are navigating 2025 with a modern understanding of media, branding and connection. They don't just pose, they participate. They don't just perform, they engage. They don't hide behind curtains, they speak out. And that's why the institution that tried so hard to silence them now finds itself being ignored, laughed at and walked past, just like King Charles was by Macron. This visit won't be remembered for its diplomacy. It won't be remembered for the dinner menu, the speeches or the ceremonial parades. It will be remembered for the moment President Macron made a joke that wasn't just funny, it was true. It will be remembered for the purple hand, the red eye, the blank stares, the quiet sadness of a crumbling facade. It will be remembered as the moment the British monarchy's illusions slipped again and the public didn't gasp. They laughed. And through it all, Meghan and Harry stood firm, away from the chaos, building their legacy, raising their children, making their mark, not as royals, but as real people. And in the end, that's what history remembers most. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Meghan and Harry Tales, hosted by Adrian. We've peeled back the curtain on yet another royal illusion, and once again it's Meghan and Harry who come out looking like the future, while the rest of the firm clings desperately to the past. If this story moved you, made you laugh, or made you think, don't forget to like, subscribe and share this with someone who still believes in authenticity over protocol. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and remember, truth always shines through eventually. Take care and I'll see you soon.